3. This week we have a Scottless episode, and you're like, it's blind photo critiques. How is Scott not here? Well, trust me, we have some in-studio guests that are going to own this blind photo critique, and it all starts in 23.2 seconds.
The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the tripod alternative that is changing the world. Everybody has a Platypod. You should too. Go to platypod.com.
Hey, and there we are. We're here in the studio, and as you can see, Scott is not here, and Scott apologizes. He came down with a little bit of a cold. He really wanted to be here for this episode, but we have joining us 2 Kelby 1 instructors. So we have Kaylee Greer and Sam Haddix, both here.
Hello.
So there you go. Hey,
Thanks for
coming on. I really appreciate this last minute coming on the show.
So excited to be here.
Yeah, I love both of your guys' work. Totally different areas, right?
Yes, very different areas.
But they work together.
Yes.
They work together very well.
I was super excited that we could finally be on for a blind critique. I've always wanted to do one because between the two of us, one of us is very nice and one of us is very mean. And I'll let you guys decide.
We're gonna figure that out real quick here, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna get right into the show. We have to get through. We want to get through as many critiques as we possibly can. We want to keep them concise, constructive. They are blind photo critiques, so we don't know anybody's name unless they put that dreaded watermark on it. Then we will know who it is. But we're doing this because we want to give you honest feedback, something where a lot of times this is one of those episodes where it kind of hurts afterwards for some people. I usually get that email afterwards telling us how wrong we'll be and how we don't understand. But then about 3 months later, we'll get a follow-up of, hey, I took your advice and you guys were right. So it's a process. I understand for some people. I'm hoping we don't have any this week where we say, sell your gear. That's always the hardest, but but
I'll never say it. I'll never say
Yeah.
sell your gear.
I might.
But I'll leave it to these guys in case they have that feedback and opinion for you.
well, there you go. Well, we do have prizes we have to give away on the show. And we've got a really cool prizes here. We've got one of my favorite prizes here, the Platypod Extreme. I tell you, I love this thing, and it's because of these flip out legs, right?
Yes.
So you just flip out these legs. You used to have to screw them in, which sounds so trivial, but just being able to flip it out and lay it down, have it stable, really awesome. So somebody's going to win that on the show today. I actually lost one of those at that SpaceX launch. So it was mounted, secured, strapped down. It had cable tie, a metal tie, bungee cord, and all that, and it's gone. So
That's probably the only thing that can take one of those things out is a proper
Yeah,
SpaceX
a
launch.
space shuttle.
I mean, I still think it's buried somewhere under the rubble. I really do, because that thing is rock solid. So somebody's going to win that on the show. We also have a new book Scott came out with, the Adobe Photoshop book for digital photographers. So that's coming out, or that is out now. We have it in print. So somebody's going to win that today. And then we've got a special book by somebody here.
Ta-da!
Dogtography. So somebody's going to win this Dogtography book, what's that book all about?
So it's called Dogtography, a knock your socks off guide to capturing the best dog photos on earth. And it is quite literally everything that I know, every single thing from every tiny thing from inside of my brain about dog photography.
There you go.
Is in here. And it's literally for people who maybe are professional photographers, but maybe they, are portrait photographers, let's say, for example, and their client brings along their dog to their family portrait session photo shoot, and you kind of like internally panic and go, oh God, I don't know how to deal with this dog. Right, exactly. So this will teach you, how to deal with those scenarios. This will also teach you, even if you're just using like your iPhone and you want to take awesome photos of your dog, this will teach those types of photographers. And then also, if you are looking to be full on, 100% dog exclusive, dog only photographer like I am, this will also teach you. So it kind of runs the gamut. But this was this little thing I birthed from my brain, and it was the hardest thing that I've ever done in my entire life.
Labor of love.
Labor of love. And Sam seems to want to talk because usually you do this when you have something to say.
Well, first, the book is excellent. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Second, don't cover up your microphone with the book.
Oh, good point. Good call. Anyway, I figured I would sign if whoever wins the book, if they're interested in it, I'm happy to sign it before I leave the studio today. So when it gets shipped off, it will be signed for you.
Awesome.
So just let me know your name and how you want it
That'll
signed.
be one of the contest prizes. We
got it.
also have On One No Noise 2023. We're going to be giving away a copy of that awesome plugin, which, speaking of On One, we have a conference coming up, the On One Photographers Conference. That's over in July 25th and 26th. You can join us. It's going to be everything you need to know about mastering the On One suite, like all their products, all their plugins. Got a great list of instructors that are going to teach you all about how to make the most out of these plugins and put them into your workflow. Because a lot of this stuff is AI based.
Yeah.
And AI based is just like saving time based. It's something we used to be able to do. I think one of the things Scott and I talk about a lot is a lot of the stuff that we're seeing now with AI, we always could do.
Yes.
It just took forever.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
You know?
No, you're absolutely
So
right.
It
And-
is kind of speeding it up. However, there's still some kind of gray areas there, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole today.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I did hear the rabbit hole though last week, which was awesome, and you brought up a lot of really valid points, and
It's
it's
a
very,
rabbit hole.
it's
Yeah.
a wild time. It's a wild west right now.
Without getting fully down the rabbit hole, just one thing for our industry specifically with dogs, a lot of times we use Photoshop as a safety tool. So we want to photograph right by a road, having the person there, having the person holding the dog on leash, that sort of thing. Now, shooting that and removing the person, very easily, we're cool with that.
Yeah. That's why I'm cool with that. Yeah, because sometimes that's what it comes down to is when you're envisioning how to use Photoshop and how to use these tools, I think that is part of the photography process, right? As long as you're shooting with the intent, like a lot of times I'll shoot with the intent of blending two photos together, but that's I'm doing that intentionally.
Right.
That's a little different than I took a bunch of photos and just mashed them up later.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
That's
exactly.
compositing. That's not photography. You
Yeah,
know?
it's digital art, right?
Yeah,
And it has
digital
its
art.
merit and it has
Yep.
its own place in the art world.
So anyways, if we go down that rabbit hole, the hour will be over and we'll be
True.
done.
You are correct.
So,
That's true. Good
All
point.
right.
Keep it on the rails, Eric.
yeah, here we go.
Good job.
So we're going to give away a V-flat from V-Flat
Oh,
World. These are
awesome.
the awesome ones that fold up.
Can I win
That's
it?
going to be for US. Yeah, you can. You can enter. Just go onto the chat and
Yep.
tell us what you'd like to win. If you live in the US, which I know you do, you can win that prize. But everybody can win because if you use Kelby 10 at checkout, you get 10% off of V-Flat World item. And then we also have from Retouch For Me, they're giving away their new Dodge and Burn app. And we also have a 20% discount with them using the promo code Kelby120. So that's KELBYONE 20. All right. And then if you go to that page, promo.retouch4.me. There you go.
4, the number 4.
Yes. And actually, speaking of the Photoshop book, you can order with a 50% discount if you want that Photoshop book over at peachpit.com. Use the code Sunshine, all caps. So code Sunshine, all caps, if you want to get that book 50% off. That ends today, and it includes free shipping. So there you go.
That's brilliant.
All right.
I have to say one thing about On One, because I'm not in any way affiliated with On One or sponsored by them or anything, but I use it daily in my dog photography and my work. And with dog photography, you have to really be at fast shutter speeds pretty constantly because,
Yeah, they're moving, they're grooving.
They're going 1 million miles an hour, wiggling and waggling kind of all over the
Squirrel,
planet.
squirrel.
Right? Exactly. So because of that, like as soon as it gets a little bit later in the day, which is my favorite time to shoot when it's getting sunsetty and you get these beautiful colors in the sky, but I'm kind of still trying to maintain this fast shutter speed, I'm usually at a higher ISO, like ISO 1000 and above typically. And it used to just be that I would just, I'd deal with what the photo quality looked like. I'd do a little bit of noise removal as best as I could in like Lightroom, and that would be the extent of it. But these days, using On One No Noise has changed everything. I can't believe it. I just can't believe the difference. It's night and day. And also the sharpness that it retains, like it takes all this grain and noise like out of the sky, for example, or the background.
Yeah, it's
but then the
crazy.
sharpness comes back
It's
into
crazy.
the dog's fur in a way that I just can't believe it.
Well, yeah,
And
because
it's-
now they have the ability to use no noise and tack sharp in the same one. So you can actually
okay.
use no noise, remove the noise, and it adds a little sharpening.
Yeah.
But now you can add sharpening on top of that through AI. So you can even get more detail. So I'm telling you, I've been using it. I've used it too in like my Milky Way photos because we're constantly at high ISOs.
Right, of
and
course.
it really just gives life back. There's photos that I took before that, out of like old 5Ds or something like that, or like the first 1DX. that they were just too grainy.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good photos.
Yeah.
They just had a lot of grain, and now you just wipe it out.
It's amazing. It's wild.
Yeah.
You used to just live with it, or like, I'll print it on canvas because you won't see the grain on canvas.
There you go.
It's just how you dealt with it. But anyway, just a shout out for that.
There you go. And you can come to the On One Photography Conference next month, July, or actually next month starting tomorrow. So it'd be the next month starting tomorrow, July, end of July. Come check it out. All right. Well, now we got to get to the show.
Let's
The meat
do
and
it.
potatoes.
I'm so excited. I'm going to
we're
become
gonna do
menacing
blind photo critiques.
for the
So
first
this
time
is-
in my life.
So this is like, we want to be honest.
Yes.
Giving the honest
Yes.
feedback. We're not trying to destroy you. We're not trying to just, and we're also, the other side is we're not trying to do what your friends and your family will always do. Where they show them a photo. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nana.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then
Yeah.
the one thing I run into is the subject, which you run into too, is a lot of times people look at a photo and they go, oh, cute dog, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, rocket lifting off, that's awesome. But is the photo good?
Right,
And that's
yeah.
what we're really talking about here. All right, so let's get rolling. We want to do a couple minutes per photo or per set of images. So 3 images people selected. And look at this, no random order. I just did this randomly.
Come on.
I did it randomly. Look what comes up first, right? This is in my wheelhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Holy
This
moly.
is all you, Eric.
Yeah, look
this
at
is all
this.
you.
All right, so that, and then we got this, and then we got this photo, right? So already, me personally on this, they're all great photos. They all have, they're freezing the action. You slowed the shutter speed when it was a prop, and you froze the action, right? The only thing I'll say about this first one, the plane does not have enough breathing room to enter into. I have a problem there. Now this is hard because you have the afterburner in the back. You're in tight. You're at 400 millimeters. I don't know if maybe you cropped this in a little tighter. If you did, I give it a little bit more breathing room again to the right. So over here, where I'm talking about over here, I would just make sure there's a little bit more of that blue to kind of have the plane travel into. So what do you guys think?
And I think with a simple sky like this, it's really straightforward to just expand the canvas to, kind of to the left there and just like do a simple
You could
content-aware fill.
totally.
That should be easy. Actually, I do think this photo would look kind of badass. Can I say badass?
Yep, yep.
Oh, we already
I think
did.
this
The
photo
network's
would look
okay
kind of
with it.
badass as a pano anyway. Like make it a little bit
Yeah,
more,
wider.
a little less 2x3, a little bit wider. That would be really cool. I think it'd be a little more cinematic and epic. And
So are these kind of cropped 4x3? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, it kind of looks like that.
Something like that. I feel just personally, and this is just a personal preference of mine, like I've never really connected with photos that are in that
It's a
sort of
2x3.
It is
it's a 2x3. That's how it comes out of the camera.
It's okay, yeah.
So I think that it's a 2x3. So either they cropped in, that's usually the proportions of the cameras. So they probably either cropped in or this was the frame. I imagine it wasn't because 400 millimeters, you either got it right as it going by the crowd
Right.
and you were dead on
Yeah.
at 400 millimeters, or it was a little farther and you cropped in.
And I think one other thing I'll say is I think probably when you think about light in photography and looking for like beautiful light that's really kind of painterly and interesting, it applies to kind of any type of subject,
Yeah.
even this subject. And so this is clearly like midday. And I realize that you don't have control over the
That
time,
is
right? that
one of
air
the
shows
hardest things.
Go on.
It's a terrible
But you have
times.
these like harsh shadows, which would be, I think, a little bit more interesting if it was like beautiful, soft sunset light, which again, I realize you don't have full control over when these air shows are happening. You kind of have to show up and do your best. But
So right here, you slow down the shutter enough to get that prop blur. So you've got a little bit blur, but then you've still kept the sharpness, but you can
Wow.
see where it's starting to fall apart. You see where you're starting to fall apart here. These are sponsors where I
Okay.
should be able to read them.
Oh,
So
interesting.
this is one of the hardest things in aviation photography is getting, you see how the names are starting to
Yes.
swiggle, and actually part of this is sharpening.
I was gonna say, does it look
they have sharpening
sharpened?
applied
Yeah.
because they're trying to bring it back. But
Yeah.
this is, if you want to get good at this style of aviation photography, your panning technique needs to be perfect. And that's the one thing I noticed there is you're still just a little bit off, and that's why you're getting those artifacts. But overall, great stuff.
Yeah, this is my favorite one, I think, because you can see the pilot.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
that's
love
pretty
that.
cool.
For me as a portrait photographer,
Yep.
like it really just helps me connect with the photo. I'd kind of be interested to see this one as a pano as well.
Yeah, a little wider crop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so great job. Just worry about that breathing room, trying to get that technique down. All right.
I'm intrigued. I'm interested in that first one. Okay, it falls apart a little in a second.
All right, we're being honest.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
this
And
is
then-
all you, but
yeah,
it's,
but still, it's okay.
Okay.
I mean, and
it's a little
it's-
lost in the frame there too. I feel like
Yeah.
it could be a little bit more of importance to the
yeah,
subject.
the crop too is a little weird. So this one.
That's intriguing
This
to me.
is you said intriguing, and same thing. I was like, I'm trying to figure it out, and I don't know if that's the best thing for your photography.
Well,
you're
that's
trying-
true. That's
sometimes-
true.
I think it can go totally either way, and I think that actually for me, this first one and the second one pose the same question in two different ways. This one is like, hey, what's this a photo of, and I want to know more. And the second one maybe is, what's this a photo of, because it's kind of like a little bit messy
Yeah, like
to
an
understand.
environmental.
Yeah, but I am more intrigued by the first one for sure.
Me too. The first one had me intrigued. So it almost looks like you took a lens or like a filter,
Like
you
a
held it
neutral
up,
density filter.
and then you're like
Filter.
superimposing another photo in it that's at a different time of day or zoomed in.
Is this I think we're seeing through to what's behind.
Yeah, this is like that.
filter.
I think you're doing some commercial work or something for the port authorities here or something where because that's that same structure,
that's
right? You
true.
see this structure here, how then
Yeah.
that structure
that's
is
kinda-
the same.
yes, that's a good
So I
point.
think you're trying to do something with showing the structure, and then this comes out like a left field.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
However, with this one, I think that you're right. The cropping, you could definitely come in tighter.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I think
come
so.
in.
Yeah.
And, I do love that, like the trail behind the plane. What's the right word for that? What do you call that trail back there?
That's a smoke trail,
Okay.
or it's just a trail, the contrail.
I think I
Chemtrails
would.
are trying to
That's-
control your brain,
But
dude.
that is a smoke trail. That is intentionally smoking.
I kind of like it. I feel like I would almost crop it like kind of piano and keep the whole trail.
So you go like more like a 16
Yeah.
by 9. And
Yeah,
kind
and
of,
like, can you include the whole
Yeah,
trail?
kinda like go to the trail
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
down
That's kind of.
here.
I like that. I'm interested.
Yep.
Now I'm interested.
Now, yeah, I agree. Now also the cloud became more prominent.
Yeah.
So then it made a little bit more sense. It wasn't out there hanging out in all the blue.
Yeah.
And the other thing is you could just see right there the white balance, right? Because it is that weird blue.
Yeah.
So again, warm it up and then maybe taking some of that green out.
Yeah. So it was,
Right.
it was a greeny. It was a teal,
Yeah, it has that-
turquoisey kind of blue. So yeah.
So you got that. And then
Yeah.
you could see that in the plane where the plane started getting, it's a silver plane, but then it's reflecting back all that blue and that white balance.
Yeah.
All right.
So do you usually do like, I watch the show a lot, so I kind of
Yeah.
know, but do you usually give like a tip for like, all right, how do you kind of improve, or
Yeah,
what's a takeaway for them
yeah.
to say, like, you're on the right track, but what would you improve?
Exactly. Right. So I think, what would you say with this photo?
So the first photo that we looked at, I think it's creative. I think it's interesting, and you have my attention, which is cool. I think it could use some refining, especially like on the white balance on the hand. The hand is green.
Green,
So
yeah.
just like really use your, you could even use your eyedropper tool and try to look at what's neutral gray and try to get it a little bit more accurate on the white balance. Listen, photography is art though too, right? So interpret a scene however your artist's eye would want to interpret it. But I do think green skin is just unappealing in general. So I'd do something like just kind of fix that a little bit.
Yeah.
And I would like lift up some shadows, I think, so the whole thing would be a little more digestible and understandable. But I think that's interesting, and I think that's they have a cool, unique viewpoint. I've not really seen anything quite like that. I like that a lot
So
better.
you
Yeah.
like it to be a little brighter.
Yeah, I think so,
Not so
personally,
the
yeah.
dark. And I
Yeah.
think I agree there
Yeah.
because now it makes more sense that there is like the other one was so dark and so bright.
Yeah.
So,
I like that better. I think
yeah.
you did a nice job with that. And you could always, if you felt now, the middle bit in the filter that we're looking through is too bright, you can always selectively just take that a little bit back down. But I think that this photo really benefits from just that little tweakage.
Yeah, and I'd
something
encourage
like
you to
that.
keep trying creative things like this and concentrate on the storytelling aspect
That's
of
way
it.
better.
And I think that if you really hone in on the story you want to tell, I think you can make an image like this even stronger.
Yeah, because I will say the second photo I'm confused by and I feel like has no story. So I think you're doing a good job.
Yeah, this one is just there's a lot going on. I don't know where to look, and then the person gets lost.
Yeah, there's no
Right.
clear subject here at all.
And because the person is sitting over the buildings behind them and all, it just gets lost.
I
Yeah.
didn't know there was a person until
Yeah.
just now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's what they were trying to go for
Yep.
for the thing. Is this person's looking over the edge, but yeah.
So yeah, I think this person's on the right track. Keep going. Keep trying the stuff that's more like that first one. That'll really set you apart from other artists and other photographers. And I do think we have our break.
We got to take a break.
All
The
right.
network wants a break. So we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to rattle through a bunch of more images or your images and give you the honest feedback.
Have you seen the latest version of Photoshop? It is the most mind-blowing version of Photoshop I've seen in 20 years. Adobe has taken AI to a whole new level, and it has taken Photoshop to a whole new place. This will change the way we all work from now on. There's an amazing remove tool. There's new live gradients. There's adjustment presets. There's this little floating panel, this contextual taskbar. But none of that compares to the magic, the actual magic that is happening. Got a brand new class where I cover everything. What works, what doesn't, how to make it work for you, how to incorporate it into your workflow right now and start doing things you never thought you'd be able to do. It is going to blow your mind. Come and check out my brand new class, Getting Up to Speed Fast on the AI-powered May 2023 Photoshop upgrade. It's exclusively at kelby1.com.
I am a portrait and wedding photographer based in Valencia, Spain.
I do mainly commercial and editorial photography, and I retouch up to 100 photos a month.
We shoot almost every day for all kinds of clients, such as commercial, beauty, and fashion. And we retouch our work more often, like every other day.
I used to spend over 1 hour for one photo.
If we want professional results, we must remove skin blemishes, do micro dodge and burn, highlight eyes, whiten teeth, and even reduce wrinkles in clothes. And this can easily take me up to 2 hours of work for each photo.
So when I saw that there's a plugin for Photoshop that helps you retouch quicker, I was eager to get my hands on it.
I read many feedbacks about it, and I found a lot of positive reviews, which made me to consider buying my first plugin.
One of the challenges we have at the end of a session or wedding is to achieve an edition in our photograph that look natural. This is where retouch for me has become a game changer.
I love the feature that you can pick how much effect it has on your photo, and you can adjust it accordingly to your style.
I saved a lot of time and always end up having amazing result with my work.
I am extremely happy with the quality.
Now I am more efficient and have more time to spare with my family.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by B&H Photo, the professional source since 1973.
All right, we are back and we're talking about your photography, the images that you guys submitted in for the blind photo critique. We have Sam and Kaylee here, and we're all talking about your images, trying to give you constructive feedback on what you can do to maybe improve them, right? So here, let's go to this next image. It's interesting. Again, these are random. I actually know this spot, and I know this image, and I'm pretty sure I know who shot it, right? But we got this image, that image.
Cool.
So you got that's like your focus, your zoom in the city lights.
Yep.
And then the moon rising
That
behind
is
the city.
Really special.
Right.
That's
So these are all great, but I'll tell you what, this was a magical night.
Yeah.
I was here, we were out, this is at Scott's workshop, or we were doing, Scott and I did a workshop in New York City. I had planned out this location for a reason, and that's what I love about this picture is there's a couple things that go on here. At a certain times of year, you get the New Jersey sunset to reflect into Midtown Manhattan because there's so much glass in Midtown, if you've ever seen it, just like a wall of glass.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
where you're seeing down here this reflection
It's
of the
golden.
sunset that's coming all down through it. Then behind the city, you're in twilight. So it's already in twilight. So it's a weird, because usually we don't shoot a reflection of sunset, and then you're doing it at a time where the city lights are starting to illuminate.
Right.
So you got like the trifecta.
You got Sparkle City is what you got. And it is magical. It is so magical.
Great, and then you got the Empire State Building back here. Yeah, it's all good.
Right, but it's not just the right time of day and the right location, it's the right time of year.
Yeah.
Right, it's only going to do this for a particular month or maybe even less.
Yep.
So that's
and
very
then
cool.
here I love that. That's neat. I love how you use the zoom.
This is cool.
To create that zooming focus effect, right?
This is super cool. I do think this one would be more successful if there was a little bit of detail in the sky. Like if it was done just a little bit earlier.
Right.
I think on your screen, so I do see this discrepancies between
Yeah,
your
the
screen and the monitor.
discrepancies.
Yeah, the
It
monitor
is,
makes it look perfect black, but I can see a little bit of blue twilighty dark on your screen. I
Yeah.
think if there was cloud texture or something back there, it would have been a little more successful and it wouldn't look like it was like totally floating in space. But I do think other than, a sky replacement would be amazing.
You're
on this.
wanting to open, obviously I'm going farther for this screen, for your screen, but yeah, you're just wanting to open up that sky.
Yes,
a little
100%.
bit,
I do want that.
But if any photo can look like it's floating in space, it would probably be this photo too.
Yeah, I
At the
suppose
same
that's
time.
true.
Yeah, it's
It
very
is true.
futuristic looking. It's
This
very
is
cool.
very cool. Now, can I ask, I don't know if it's a secret or not, but did you teach this technique or was this photographer?
So this photographer did this on their own, which is great. This is awesome. I love seeing that.
Yeah. Taking it outside the box,
really
for sure.
cool. And that's what you want to do a lot of times is take it outside the box, do something different. So kudos to them for trying something new.
Yeah.
And then here, what can you say?
That's so special.
Yeah.
It almost doesn't even look real because it's so special.
I know, and I love it because there's a space shuttle right down there.
There you go.
So there's a space shuttle right in that building. So very cool.
That is pretty cool. Yeah, I really love that.
I can't really say much about that. It's all good stuff.
Same.
Right.
Very cool.
Love it. I just love that first one. Oh, beautiful.
All right. So yeah, this one, I love it.
That's the winner.
I love that one.
Definitely the winner.
Of the three, that one is like, it makes my heart do a little jump. And I think that's the idea with photography, right? Like in this day and age, when we're scrolling through our news feeds or Instagram, whatever, right? We are getting a million pieces of stimuli firing at our eyeballs from every given angle at any millisecond. And what do you do anymore to stop people's scroll, right? To stop people's eye on your work. It's really hard to do these days and really hard to stand out. And this is something that really makes my heart jump. And I would stop at it. It would stop me in the middle of my busy day, which is like a huge accolade. And then because it's really hard to do that anymore. For me, the reason it's very high key, it's the brightness, it's the blacks in all the right places, it's the texture. I want to reach out and touch him.
No, the shape, the shape and the gesture.
The gesture is beautiful.
Yeah, it's like how the shape is, where the face and how the animal's looking, and then because it's snow. It's perfect,
Yes.
And I know it's snow. I can feel it's snow. I can actually see the snow.
Yes, the little drops of snow. And
so you can see the snow in here. The only thing I just did to it that I saw was just pulling it in a little bit tighter. Because I want to be in a little bit tighter, not too tight. I want to see this fall off the shadows here, but just a little bit tighter. But that really is do a lot of that.
That is beautiful.
This.
Yes.
It's nice.
I think sometimes you'll throw a photo into black and white and think, okay, it's definitely going to look timeless. You know what I mean? But it doesn't always work. And I think that first photo is the perfect application of black and white. And I think that this one is not as successful. It is an interesting moment, right? You're always looking for some moment of action or some interesting thing. And it's kind of interesting. But I don't feel it's connected to that second one. And then the third one, I'm a dog photographer, so in dog photography, it's really important to kind of either keep the whole body of the animal or intentionally crop very close. And this one is kind of a medium, kind of a halfway. And so I feel like it would be more powerful, kind of somewhere down there, exactly. Or intentionally get the whole body, one or the other, but that to me is more powerful.
What do you think about this?
I feel like it would be cool if it was a little more substantial.
I agree.
Right? It was a leaf, or I don't know if bears probably don't eat leaves.
If it told the story.
Right. But this looks to be a little bit of the ground he accidentally got caught on.
Yes, that's what I have the problem with. I like it, the technique of it, but because it's just right on that edge of not knowing what it is and almost looking like it's a mistake, like somebody has something in their beard or something.
Right, yeah.
And you're not going to tell them, like, hey, you got something. Like, that's where you could take that into Photoshop, use the remove tool or the some tool and just remove it.
But I mean, it's certainly not a bad photo. You're a good photographer, and it's technically.
I like it much better cropped.
Much better, me too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sharp where it needs to be. It's soft where it needs to be. It's really lovely. But I think the showstopper is your first one.
Oh yeah, this one's that
is special.
This one is the one that's out of place for me, and then I like that one cropped in tight. I would have to lose this.
Yeah, I think so. That'd be a really pretty simple thing to just clone out.
All right.
Healing brush action there.
All right, so let's look at these.
Oh, I like that.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So they're trying some different things.
Trying some different things.
Yeah.
This
There's
is
nothing
definitely
wrong
trying
with
different techniques. It's kind of, I'm trying to figure out my voice, what I'm into. Not a consistent look throughout of them, but that's okay. I mean, you're at that stage. What do you think about this one?
I like the crop. I'll say that. I'll start with what I like.
So you like wide crops?
I do.
can tell.
Yeah, I think I
can
do.
tell.
Which is interesting.
Wide crops are very cool. This has so much potential to be perfectly symmetrical if you were to scoot your body to the right a little bit.
Yes.
But
really
I think,
center it.
Yeah, but I think this one really screams like, please center me, with these palm trees kind of coming in from either side. So I think.
Yeah, and you're probably only about a foot or two.
It's not far.
Foot or two, and you would have had the palm trees reflecting in the same pattern.
Yeah,
everything would have reflected in. But yeah, it is. There's interesting because like geometry works well if it's in nature. Like if you can find geometry in nature.
Yep.
Because then it fools with us because we usually look at nature as not having symmetry.
Right. Kind of interesting. And I
think
like
these trees were planted that way, but still.
Right. Definitely a man-made element to that. But I mean, you could look past that in photography for sure sometimes. But I think that boat, it kind of kills it in that last one.
Yeah, this boat down here.
And it's kind of ruining your serenity.
Well, no, it's just a.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just a bunch of trees.
These could be removed.
Yeah.
They can be removed.
That's interesting.
There's new AI tools that'll do that.
And I do think the edit is a little overcooked on the first one too.
It definitely is overcooked.
You just pull back on the saturation like a little bit. You could play around with the color temperature more if you don't want it to be so cool. If you want it to be more of like a sunset feeling, you can always, with silhouettes, you can really get away with a lot in terms of the white balance. Like if you pulled that towards like pink and yellow, could you get something a little bit more powerful and interesting? Yeah, I don't know. I think there's something you can do there that make it a little bit more powerful. Yeah. But I do like the concept. I just think, I think even that's, personally, I like that better, but
yeah. See how what she was saying there is this is like yellow and rich blue, and now you're kind of toned down more of a pinky purpley blue.
Yeah.
And then that orange color coming through.
Exactly, because this is sunset. Sunset light is warm. That matches the environment. That edit matches the environment. So you're okay to go a little bit, to push it a little bit further than maybe what your eye saw when you were there, because it does match the lighting. As long as you're aware and cognizant of what the lighting type was, then you can do that.
Kaylee, can you guess what's killing me about this image?
The headphone.
Thank you.
I mean, that's all I was going to comment on.
Because
the headphones kill it.
And
yes,
the USPS box in the background.
Yeah.
Yes, that too.
Because it's got the potential to be like a timeless sort of image.
Definitely.
Like, oh, where did you go? Like, were you in like Cuba? Like, were you, was this 20 years ago? And then it's like, oh no, the earbud.
Yeah, those things take it out of timelessness and put it back. And it's such a bright white element that you're immediately like, what's that in the ear? You know what I mean? You're like, immediately go there.
It's like right there.
But the texture, this man is super cool and interesting. His skin's really awesome. The texture, the grittiness works so well. This is awesome. It's just those little, playing that game of like when you're on location, just doing those little fine-tuning things where you could, just clean up the scene a little.
Right. Well, and if it's like a street photography image, can you be like, excuse me, sir?
Can you take your AirPod out and can we move that USPS box behind you?
But I mean, not to harp on the AI thing in Photoshop, but now if you select the earbud, you can type in like man's ear.
I know, but that's terrifying. I hate that. It's gonna like draw.
Well, honestly, too, if you probably selected it and then just hit generative fill, it probably would recreate it. Recreate it. And if it didn't, it would give you 3 versions. You would scroll through them. If you want 3 more, you do it again.
Yep.
That is
Same thing with that.
Removal,
this box would totally go real easy.
Oh yeah.
The AirPod would be harder, but it's possible.
Yeah.
And I think if you did do those 2 things, that image is great.
Yep.
It's great.
That's a cool image. Yep, I like that.
All right, slow shutter pan.
The truth is, I feel nothing.
It's just a slow shutter pan.
Yeah.
Hey, you did a good technique. You're
Yeah.
very good at the technique.
Yeah.
So I think that's the one thing we can take out from it is they're
It just got better there.
reasonably sharp.
Yeah, it did get
They're
better with the
reasonably
zoom.
sharp. You know, you can read the letters.
Yeah.
That's always the key with that pan. You can read the letters.
Yeah, that's a good
and it's
execution.
like you've got this now in your toolbox.
Yes.
That's how I feel. It's like now you can do slow shutter panning. So now do slow shutter panning with a more interesting subject,
And-
a more interesting
yes.
light, and a more interesting background. All those good things.
100%.
Call
You
up
nailed it.
call up a friend of yours that has a motorcycle
Yep.
and be like, meet me here.
And this
we're
nice
gonna
looking place.
We're gonna do this same
Yeah.
technique 200 times.
Yeah,
Yep.
right,
And then
exactly.
You're just gonna drive up and down. I'm gonna buy you some gas.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're just gonna drive up and
100%.
down.
The pan is successful, the location, the light, not so much.
All right. Now we do need to take a break. When we come back, we'll be looking at these
Sam's
images.
booing the brakes. Is that the
Yep.
That's unprofessional, I will say.
Well, I guess it'd just be the
Hey,
two of you when we come
that's
back.
what-
So travel is back. Travel photography is a big thing, and you've got some amazing things to share with us, including near-death experiences, right?
I do. Let's go to Lisbon. Let me tell you what, Larry, Lisbon is one of the most photographic cities in the world. It's the second oldest city in all of Europe, and I'm going to show you exactly where to shoot. I'm even going to tell you where to stay, where to eat. I got some great restaurants and great tips for you. I'm going to tell you how to avoid certain death, which only probably happened a couple of times, but I didn't die, which is great.
Yes.
Nobody with me died. None of us died. It was great. But I'm telling you what, Lisbon is such a photographic city. It's so photogenic. There's something around every corner. Larry, I'm telling you, it's got everything, and it's inexpensive, it's safe, it's clean, it's fun. There's so much to shoot. There's more than I could do in a class, but I did put it in a class. It's a photographer's guide to where to shoot in Lisbon.
And how am I going to remember all this when I get there?
I've got you covered. I'm going to give you a PDF that you can download, and it has all of the locations, all of the addresses, little thumbnails, so you know what we're talking about. You can put it right on your phone so you can have it right with you when you're on the streets of Lisbon. Come with me as we go to Lisbon. I'll show you all the great places to shoot. You're going to love it. You're going to come back with some amazing shots, and it's exclusively here at kelby1.com.
The nighttime skies, twinkling heavily bodies. It's magical, it's romantic. And the solar winds, they're really singing. Can you hear them? Hey folks, Moose Peterson here. I want to take you to experience and see one of the greatest light shows known to man. Aurora Borealis, or the Northern Lights. Right now they're in an incredibly active cycle. They're absolutely gorgeous, and it's something everybody should experience and photograph in their lifetime. Well, how do you do that? Where do you go? When do you go? How do you bring back that incredible, gorgeous sky, that pulsing green wave? Well, I'm going to do that and a whole lot more in this class. I'm going to take you along. We're going to go out there and dance in those lights. And then we're going to come back and we're going to go in the digital darkroom and finish that light. So I want to invite you along on what's going to be an amazing, incredible trip. One of those great adventures and classes on Kelby One.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Canon.
All right, we are here. We're rattling through your images, so let's get right to it. Let's jump right back in for some more critiques. So here we go. We've got a hummingbird. Yep. A black and white landscape. And Monument Valley. Or somewhere near Monument Valley.
All right.
All right. So let's talk about this first one.
Okay, so the hummingbird is pretty clearly very blue.
Yeah, definitely got a case of the ices.
And I don't know what type of hummingbird this is. I mean, is there a blue one that exists out in the world? Possibly, but I feel like
if you look at the surrounding's even blue.
Yeah, context clues tell me this bird isn't supposed to be blue or purple. It's probably supposed to be a little bit more of a neutrally gray.
Yeah.
So yeah, Eric just took it to kind of where it needs to be.
All we did there is just the white balance slider. There was nothing else, and it just brought in that bird. It had way too much blue. Even look at the background, the flowers.
Yeah.
Way too blue green, and now you've warmed them up, given life back to it.
And this is likely because we were talking on the break, and it's likely because it was shot in the shade. So kudos to the photographer for finding good, even light.
Yeah.
It would have been bad if this was more of like a midday shot and you weren't in nice even shade. Then this would have been really dappled and really harsh. So you did the right thing by going into the shade, but then just you need to compensate either with your white balance in the camera, you can dial it in, or you can just deal with it in Lightroom and just kind of bring it back to where it needs to be. There's only one other thing that kind of bothers me a little, and I think possibly there's a fence line in the background, that little bit of black straight line that's crooked, and it's kind of killing me and making me feel like we need to like straighten it. What I would probably do if it was my shot is just remove it.
I would suggest cropping in because I don't think there's anything really interesting in that top quarter of the image.
Yeah, but then you lose your flowers. Yeah, you could do that.
You could come in. You could come in tight if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Maybe there.
I'm not angry about that.
And what I want to say is
it's definitely more impactful.
Mm-hmm.
What a beautiful positive about this is I think that wing, the motion in the wing is gorgeous. And I think that the fact that you can kind of see through it a little, like the ghosting with how fast that wing is moving, really makes you feel like you're in this moment. And I think this is really successfully pulled off aside from the white balance. I like that bit of motion blur in the feet and the wings, and then the perfectly sharp little eyeball.
Yes,
that's pretty
and
nice.
That's the key, the perfectly sharp eyeball.
Yeah.
And that's where you did the right thing. Technique-wise, you nailed it.
I like it.
All right, here. I don't know.
I'm not
just
so
don't
moved.
know what to say.
Can we try? The answer isn't always cropping, but it's always
it
of
definitely
interest
is
to me.
cropping with this.
Yeah. Can you try a 1x2 or 2x1?
You're going crazy. You're going.
Sure. I can do custom.
Let's go wild. We're going cuckoo bananas, as they say.
I want to go.
Does anyone say that?
Custom.
I do.
You're gonna go a 2x1.
Yeah.
All right, and let's try that.
I think you gotta
And then
get that.
I think we got to take out that ridge. We
And
can't get
also that
ridge.
white line of cloud that's perfectly across the top. Like if you're just lower than that white line, because that like bums me out a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better.
That's better.
I think
Now it's not as random. You see before. What was it doing?
I
you see
can't
how we
stand
had.
when you back up, if you command Z it always goes through like every iteration. That
it's all, now
Listen
that I
up,
think about
Adobe.
But you've got these lines out here and all that. And that's
Yeah.
what cropping it up just did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that it could use a vignette for sure to draw your eye more towards the middle and not get lost around the edges. But I think overall, it's a shot of a landscape that isn't like wildly interesting. It's something you see kind of out west, and I guess maybe towards like Utah or somewhere in that area. You kind of see that from the side of the road everywhere, a similar looking scene. And this would be interesting for people who, by the way, aren't from the U.S., right? They've not really seen this type of landscape before, but I don't think it's as remarkable as your first shot. And I do think that helps it a lot. What you just did definitely helps it.
We just kind of worked the crop there.
Yeah.
So we're working the crop.
That very simple tool, which I learned from Scott many years ago, which is, you've got a pretty interesting sky. I like that sky a lot.
Yeah.
So if the sky is more interesting, have that take up exactly 2/3 of the frame.
Yep.
The less interesting foreground takes up the bottom third.
Yep.
Right. Whatever's more interesting takes up 2/3.
You got it.
Whatever's less interesting gets 1/3.
Well,
this is overcooked.
Definitely
It was put in the
overcooked.
microwave on high, I think.
yes.
And the reason that we know that, like I think the reason all of us know that to maybe the trained eye is that the clouds are almost black, especially that one cloud in the front and the top. And clouds don't really look black, I mean, unless there's an impending crazy thunderstorm, but obviously there's no thunderstorm on this day because we can see the sun and lots of clear blue sky, and it's not, I just think you could maybe lift the shadows out of that cloud retroactively, or just like lighten it.
Yeah, but I think it's just cooked too much.
Yeah.
And that's where we can reverse the cooking, but not so much. It's going to be way better to not reverse the cooking. You can also see down here on the horizon, there's like a glow.
Yeah.
That's from the overcooking of it. It's just
yeah.
too far. But that's where, your first one, you rocked it.
That is really
right?
lovely, yeah.
This one, you definitely had to crop. And here, it's the same. It's just overcooked.
Yeah.
And then you also have weirdness. I mean, you just have weirdness in here.
It's like heavily sharpened
Yeah.
and just maybe I don't know if the HDR is really much of a thing anymore, but like some effects maybe.
It could be an HDR
filters.
effect, but it's the same sort of thing with the second image where you've got a pretty cool sky. I think it just needs to kind of go back to square one with the edit. But try a re-edit and just kind of a lighter touch, and I think you'll be a lot happier with that.
What is great are those beautiful sunbeams coming out of the cloud and over the
Yes.
landscape. That's gorgeous. So you could probably rework this a little bit and get a better result. Oh,
All
beautiful.
Right. All right. So what do we have here?
I love a little bird friend.
Yeah.
Oh, how lovely. Oh, that's my fave, I think.
All right. I don't have much to say about these.
About birds? Come on, you don't love birds?
No. They're great
Oh,
photos.
okay.
They're great photos.
They're great photos.
Yeah,
it's
like
good if
that.
we-
I love the placement. Oh my
I
gosh!
totally agree.
Even look at the placement behind the
Yeah.
bokeh behind.
Yes.
Like
It's like lighter right there.
Now, and again, if you did work to it to make it that way, even
Fine.
better.
Fine.
Even
you
better.
did a good job, yeah.
Yeah.
I do just think there's that one leaf in the top right.
There you
The
go.
one that sticks in is just like, that would just make the whole thing slightly better if that was just beeped right out of there.
Take
Beep
that
it right
out. Take that out.
But other than that, that's pretty magical.
Yes,
Yep.
if you're in the nitpicking process, then you're in a good spot.
Yes.
You know, same thing with this. With that one, is it a leaf right on the bird's beak?
It's a little leaf.
This-
I think he's holding it. Is he holding it?
He is.
It's
but-
kind of cute.
Or she is.
No way
is
of
the thing. This is the thing. It's so small that it looks like an imperfection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not, if it was a bigger leaf that you could see, oh, it's a leaf that a bird has in the mouth, I probably would remove it.
It looks like an extension of the
Yeah,
beak. Like
and
a
see how
tiny,
it's-
cute bird disease.
This is kind of like this is like the picture before with the bear, where the bear had that piece
Yes,
of.
yes.
It's not prominent enough.
Yeah.
But then you got other things like this leaf running in here. You could do that stuff, but overall, it's great.
Nice. Even the white sky is not usually my fave, but that's pretty executed pretty well in terms of the bird
I
against.
mean, look at how
Yeah, I
sharp
love
that
this
is.
one.
I really love
Look at
your
that.
photography. That's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
It's
I
great
love
that the bird is the only blue in the whole image.
Yes.
Oh.
Really makes him stick out. It's very cool.
This one just makes me feel good.
I
Yep.
know, I agree. In a perfect world, there wouldn't be a bright little
All right,
leaf behind. But
so summing it up, you're doing great work.
Yes.
Maybe some little cleanup
Yes.
stuff, but not anything major. Just keep up the good work.
You're killing
beautiful.
All righty. Some water.
it. Looks like home. Is this Boston?
Yeah,
know,
playing
maybe.
some chess.
Yeah.
And the band rocking out in the park.
Okay.
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 I'd say these moments, but tighter, and not necessarily crop wise. I mean, like get in there and like really like this guy
So
playing
yeah,
chess,
you're
like,
saying they're at 105. You want them to be tighter, like
I want them to be
zooming
15,
tighter.
15 feet closer and getting like the details of that, like get that handshake, get like the
so-
chess pieces in focus and the guy out of focus.
I
like,
think it's a depth of field thing too, yeah. Like I think if you make, like the man with the hat is so cool and interesting.
Yep.
Yep.
And if you like really made him the focus, you could do it by shooting, opening up a little bit. What was this shot at? Like,
Well,
what was the
F9.
aperture? Yeah,
That's the
F9
thing.
is kind of like, I'm not a fan of like middly apertures because they look so, middly, which is mediocre, which is regular, which is not remarkable.
So you're usually like way wide.
I'm either
open.
at f22 or f1.2.
All right,
So
so you're
you
going
can
the
have
extremes,
extremes. Yeah. So I don't know you have to go that extreme, but I think like if you shot the same scene at like 2.8 with the focus point right on his, face or his glasses, this would be a much different story, but it's hard to figure out what to look at when everything's in focus and everyone has different colored shirts and different logos and different sunglasses. It's a lot.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. And it's not like anybody in the background's doing something so interesting or intriguing.
Yeah.
So
They're watching. I
mean,
kind
you
of like
could
the one
even-
guy's expression, but you got to kind of, I
What
think,
happens?
just pick a
Let's
focus
just-
point.
Let's just go in. I mean, yeah,
That's better even. Yeah.
It's moving in the
but
right
you
direction.
gotta get in. You gotta get
Yeah.
in tighter, like Sam, you were saying. You gotta get closer.
Yeah, find the things that are interesting about this and really focus in on that. With the band, like it seems like you're up on stage, so
Yeah.
you might have their permission to be there. And if
Yeah.
you do, like sneak a little bit closer.
Yeah, get closer.
Get some cool shots. No one ever sees the drummer. Like get a cool shot of the
Yeah,
drummer.
yeah.
They'll appreciate it.
Truly, try the same shot just try it at like f2.8. Just
Yeah.
give it a whirl. You might hate it and don't ever, and then say Kaylee Greer was wrong. I'll never do it again. But just try it. Just humor
Okay.
me if
So
you will.
I love the advice there, though. I think getting in closer.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes, I think this photographer has a great eye for moments, though. Like
Moments,
this girl
yes.
celebrating in the snow, I think is what's happening, and then the band is pretty cool, and then especially the chest, the moment where they're shaking hands. It's two very different characters, amicably shaking hands, maybe at the end of a game. You definitely have an eye for moments. Just I think the execution of the moment, technically, you could
Great.
do it in a way that's a little more impactful.
Great advice. All right. Let's go through these. So, all about the reflection,
Oh, there
I
you go.
like that.
Yep.
That's cool.
dead tree, and a bald eagle.
I love the eagle, but I want
Right.
him to be somewhere interesting. But I love him.
Yeah, so that does look like a bald eagle could be anywhere, and it could be a backdrop that just put in there. You can't really
I think
tell.
it's like maybe a zoo or a place where
could
you can
be,
go have an
yeah.
encounter with a bald eagle or
Yeah.
something. And inside, it looks like
but
inside.
it's a good execution of it. It's well exposed. It's a shot of an eagle.
I mean,
you
and
know?
he is amazing, and it's super sharp, and I love all that. And
Yes.
he's so interesting. But I think that's what it is the most interesting thing is like what the eagle's giving you. I don't think there's any, I don't know, I guess the context, it would be awesome to have context in terms of
Okay.
just like a cool background. and stuff.
100%.
All right,
I like
with
this.
one.
I know you don't like, you guys famously don't like dead trees,
I don't
right?
mind dead trees if used properly.
Okay, this
you know,
is
and
not the
that's-
most improper use.
That's not the most improper use because it's got that weird, like, kind of overcast sky where you can see all
Yes.
the leaves or like all the branches.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
And
I
the
do think that
moss.
it's crooked,
Yeah, a little bit.
or we've got to decide what is crooked
Right.
and what is straight.
I love the green moss in the foreground, though. That's very cool. It just makes it a little more interesting, and it adds a color to the palette, which is awesome. I do think that for maximum impact, though, you should work maybe on taking out just that little like bush, the dead bush that's to the right of the tree off in the
Yeah,
foreground. Like
up here.
it's like I'm a baby tree and I'm competing with your, for your attention or whatever.
Yeah, just take those out of the horizon, right?
Yeah, if you could.
I'm sure. Yes, you can nowadays.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah, well, that's
Very
true.
easy.
If only there was a tool we could
That's
use.
true.
Yes.
Yeah. But
All
I think
right.
that's lovely. I think you have a nice eye.
All right. Venice.
Moving on, moving
Venice.
on.
All right.
I love that.
Library.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at
All
the
right, so maybe the first one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, Venezia. It's a beauty. Venice is so beautiful. I'm gonna say, can I make a bold claim?
Yes.
I
She's
think
going
the-
to speak.
I think the sky is replaced. You think?
It is definitely possible.
There's a good chance. And I just say that because it's a little too sharp, maybe. And
Yeah.
to the left. All right, I could be wrong. So someone take me down if I'm wrong. But you see how bright that highlight is on the left wall?
I
How
think,
could the sky exist and that highlight be so bright at the same time?
well, I don't think that highlight's actually blown, but I would say that that's probably a real sky. We ran into this when we shot in Venice,
Yeah.
is that around every corner there is like so much dynamic range that you're just like, how
Yeah.
do I expose from
Yeah,
this?
it's true.
So I think
Yeah.
this is a
It's
decent
true.
job exposing for everything. Would it be maybe more romantic, like at a different time of day?
Definitely,
And when the
yes.
light's a little bit softer, yes. Do you always have the choice to do that if you're doing travel photography? Not
mean,
necessarily, but if you do,
yes.
take
if you
it.
control if you are the architect of your own life, then yes, you can pick what time you want. I like the singular boat in the canal. I think that's very successful. I think it's like this beautiful, romantic, kind of almost lonesome poetry, and it's gorgeous. But my eyes drawn right to like the sky and the sharpness of the sky, and then the big highlight. So I think a better time of day. This is probably, I'm just gonna guess it's like 2 o'clock. Well, I could be wrong. It could be like 10 a.m. But anyway, the sky is.
It's a midday
It's
shot.
a midday shot, and I do think that the romanticism really comes out with those like twilighty colors, and then you get lights coming on in the buildings and the windows, and I think it would be awesome if you ever get a chance to go back
but
to
it's,
Venice to
but
try.
it's uncomfortable to shoot like at those times, and I think that's when you're traveling.
Yeah.
That's what. If you're going to be a photographer who's doing travel photography seriously, you have to miss dinner.
Yeah,
You got to
do.
eat
You
dinner
do.
like at later.
But the
You've
good
gotta,
news is in Italy, they eat dinner at like 11
exactly.
p.m. Yeah,
So
you're
that's
good.
what it comes down to. Is
Yeah.
I think with travel photography is when you're doing travel photography, you want to have that great travel photography. You got to get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's got to be at those times. I really love how the lights cast on the
That's beautiful.
road here.
I agree with that. I think there's a lot of straight lines that need like inspecting. though.
Yes, I mean
It's a wide-angle lens.
and then
here.
that's where you have to just be concerned to like, what is your look? It does like even with the first one, it's kind of tipping over, tipping back. This one's kind of the it's all wonked and kind of crooked.
Yeah.
We
Wonked. That's a great one.
We could fix it.
I like that.
And same thing here. I mean, it's interesting. You got these 3 globes, but then the position of this globe is kind of weird, and then the room looks like it just doesn't have a lot of crisp lines.
And I
to it.
think with a subject like this, which is not at all moving, you
Yes.
have a lot of opportunity to like move the tripod around and really
Yeah,
try out all the
work
angles.
that angles.
And this one maybe isn't the best angle, but I do like that you included the full door frame all the way at the end. You did a nice
Yes.
job like keeping that. I think there is a bit of a leading line with all the globes drawing
There
you down
is.
to the door. So that is pretty successful, but I think there's even other angles that would have been slightly more impactful. And I will say, I do think that the highlights on the lights, the artificial light coming out of the ceiling is too bright. You could probably pull back the highlights a little bit, and then you risk it really looking like HDR, because there's a lot of like tones and stuff going on here. But I do think that those are maybe a little too bright.
I get what you're
But
saying.
I like this space, and I'm fascinated by where this is, and I do want to know more. So it's a good subject, definitely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, and that's one thing I've noticed throughout the show. We're not really talking about the exposure settings too much. We're not talking about the focus and the framing. It's usually about like what the photo communicates, right?
Absolutely.
And that's the one thing I think you could take out of the critiques today is it's really about that is like, what is that photo saying? But we have to wrap up the show. We've got to definitely wrap up the show, but we have to give away some prizes, right? So we got to give away a bunch of prizes that we have. We have Jessica and MI winning Scott's new digital photography book.
How about MI means Michigan, I think.
I'm going to go out and say probably.
I think it's Michigan. Jessica in Michigan. Yoo-hoo! She won
right.
this?
Yep.
Yes. That's awesome.
And then
okay.
the dogtography book is going to Helen Meyer.
Woo!
Helen Jemison Meyer is winning Kaylee's dogtography
so
book.
excited.
We'll figure out from her if she wants it signed or not.
Yes, Helen, let me
Right.
know. I'm happy to write you a message and sign it if you'd like. But if it's a gift, then I'll just leave it be. So you just tell me.
There you go. And then
Try to tell us soon,
let's see.
Helen.
Gary R., you're winning the awesome Platypod Extreme. So congratulations there, Gary. And then Michael Wiley is winning the On One No Noise 2023. Stephen
Awesome.
Allen is winning the V-Flats. And then
host of the Tonight
AJ Barimio, maybe, is winning the Retouch for Me. All you got to do to claim your prize, email us over at gridprize@kelby1.com. We'll verify your information and send out your prize. Just do that before this Friday. You have to do that before this Friday, this coming Friday. So, sorry, but we got to wrap up the show.
It's okay. I'm not mad at you.
But
Don't worry.
I do want to talk about, you have something coming up that's kind of special.
Oh
with
my
dogs.
gosh. I know. It's
right?
crazy. It's so crazy.
So you
can't
have a
believe it.
conference coming up all about dog photography, right?
I do. We do. It's
Yes.
crazy. It's the biggest dream that we've ever had, I think. And we decided we were going to put on a conference specifically for dog photography where you will prepare to get your dog photography socks rocked right off your body. But special shout out to Scott and all of you guys here at Kelby One, because when I've spoken at Photoshop World for number of years now, quite a while, and I fell in love with the Mirage, which was one of the places that Photoshop World was held. And so when we went out to Vegas a couple of years ago, we thought, you know what, let's just go pop over to the Mirage and just have a tour and just see what it would look like, just talk to the people and see what it might look like to have a dog-specific photography conference there. And then, that was just supposed to be a little looky-loo, and then the rest is history. We decided to make it happen, and it is happening in September 5th, 6th, and 7th. At the Mirage in Las Vegas.
So, and we just go to
Shutterhoundconference.com. We'll give you all the info.
Shutterhoundconference.com.
But we got, I cannot even believe it, we got our legendary speaker, our featured speaker is William Wegman, who is the world's original dog photographer, essentially. You see him right there. Yeah, he really came to fame in the 70s, featuring his Weimaraner, which was, his name was Man Ray, and this Weimaraner appeared on Sesame Street with him, and he made this amazing artwork of Man Ray, all dressed up like a person, and it kind of went, I guess, as viral as you could go in the 70s.
Yeah,
and then he kind of built his whole amazing art career off of his work with Weimaraner. So he's going to be there with us sharing. We're going to have, myself and Sam obviously speaking on dog photography, and then also some legends of dog photography whose work, you might not know their names, but you would know their work, like Seth Castile, who photographs the dogs underwater in the pool. You've probably seen those images. Or Sophie Gaumond, who photographs the pit bulls and the flower crowns. There's a lot of really iconic work that's extremely kind of well known in the internet world, So click on around through there if you're interested to check out everybody. There's Seth there, and Sophie, and Carly Davidson, who got real well known for her shake series of dogs shaking off water in the studio.
Oh, cool.
Which is pretty rad. It's kind of I feel like sometimes it's a cheat code to photograph dogs, because it's extremely the potential for the interest from the public and the virality of that subject matter is cheating, because it's so cute.
I do have to say, I do love on the pictures and the headshots, you go through all dogs, and then there's Sam with rocking on.
I know. That's true.
There he is.
Yep.
That is true. That's true to Sam's personality.
Will I have a guitar there? I don't know.
Possibly.
Yeah, so that's cool.
All right. Well, awesome. We'll check that out. Before we go, we got a couple minutes. I wanted to rattle through a couple more of these just real quick, because I saw a couple of these just now when we're going through it. And look at these.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Right? And that, right?
Wait, talk to me about this.
Right? Very interesting.
That is so interesting. That's beautiful.
And that's what I was talking about with photography, where it's you want to know the story, you want to know the story. This is playing with light and shadows is what this is.
So beautiful.
And that's where it really, the light and the shadows communicates the story. But then we keep on going.
I love those.
Here's a landscape.
Wow.
Right? And
my
then,
goodness.
right into the forest.
Oh, yeah. It looks like Scotland, Ireland for the one before, and maybe some Scotland going on there.
Or here, where it's boom.
Oh, that's very interesting. I love that.
Right.
That is, and I never liked selective color, and that was very cool.
Yeah.
Man, it must break your heart every time you do this. You can't get to them all.
We can't get to them all.
Man.
But I'll tell you, if you keep on entering, we get hundreds of these in. We randomly select them, and we will get to your photos.
And not a single dog in sight, Eric.
Not a single dog.
Next time.
We love dogs, that's for sure. All righty, well,
I'm not mad.
thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Really appreciate
So
you
happy
guys
to be
coming
here.
in. I'm sure Scott will be back next week. I'm hoping that he short little sickness. It doesn't sound like it's anything major, but we want to be safe. So, we'll be back. He'll be back next week, and then go check out Kaylee's site over there, Dog Breath Photography or dogbreathphoto.com. Right?
Dogbreathphoto.com. That's all. It's all about
There's
me.
Sam Haddix as well. You can check him out.
That's all about Sam.
Photography. It's fun, right?
All righty. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. I hope nobody got too mad at our critiques, but if not, I'll get an email later. So I'll look forward to it.
So you'll find out.
See you all next week.
See you later.
I don't have to tell you how great the camera is in your iPhone. It's really pretty amazing. And I know that a lot of people out there are really giving this a serious thought. Not only is their second camera, but often as their first camera. If you're brand new to the iPhone, I've got a brand new course I think is really going to help. I'm going to cover 20 different techniques. Stuff that you need to know, how to set up your camera, how to get the most out of it, and it's really going to make a big difference. It's going to make you fall in love. If you liked your phone camera before, now you're going to love it. We're going to cover a lot of ground. We're going to be on location. We're going to have a lot of fun. I hope you come and join me, and it's exclusively here at Kaylee One.